recipe required. So we're going to do a soup today. A black bean soup. Now I've done black bean soups before. I actually love them. What I'm going to do today is a bacon and black bean soup. The bacon gives the soup this awesome kind of smoky, salty flavor a little bit, kind of another layer of flavor. And then at the end I'm going to add a little bit of fresh corn to it as well. So you got little chunks of corn, little chunks of black bean in there, that bacon kind of all holding it together. It's an absolutely spectacular dish. We do a little garnish with like sour cream, but you can throw salsa or pico de gallo on there, kind of anything. Really easy to do and an awesome technique on how to make the soups, these kind of pureed soups. They all basically follow the same steps. Super simple, super easy, freeze well. You got to do it. When you do, let me know how it goes. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, let's go ahead and get started on our bacon and black bean soup. A little bit of olive oil in the pan over kind of medium, low heat. And then I'm going to grab my diced bacon. This is 3 strips. You can use a little more, you can use a little less. I'm just going to add it in there, purposely kind of coolish pan, because I don't want to burn the bacon. I want that fat to just kind of render out. So let it go over medium heat, just a touch of olive oil in there for probably anywhere from 7 to 10 minutes until the bacon is nice and crispy. All right, so we've got our bacon rendered down. It's given up that bacony deliciousness. A little bit of smoke, salt in there. What I've got here is 2 onions, a little red pepper, a little bit of sea pepper, Anaheim peppers, anything with just the slightest little bit of heat, and then 3 garlic cloves, all just kind of coarsely chopped. It doesn't really matter too much because we're going to how you chop it, because we're going to puree the soup down. I'm going to add a good pinch of salt in there, and I'm just going to let these cook. Stir it up, kind of loosen up all those yummy bacon bits from the bottom of the pan. So let these wilt down for probably 10 minutes or so over medium heat. Once they soften, we're going to open up our black beans. I use low sodium black beans, and then add them to the soup. Okay, so my onions, peppers in there have all wilted down just a little bit, probably 10 minutes or so worth. And I'm going to add most of the can. I think a can might be a little too much, but I hate to waste it. So it'll all turn out fine. You don't have to sweat the ratios too much on this one. That was a can of fire roasted tomatoes. I'm going to go ahead and add that. I'm going to let that come to a simmer and just cook the tomatoes along with those vegetables. It'll let the vegetables soften a little bit and get some of that rawness out of the tomatoes, concentrate the flavors as well. Once that simmers for about 10 minutes, we're going to add our black beans. Okay, so I've got our tomatoes really kind of cooked down. Almost all that liquid is evaporated down, which means the flavors are super concentrated on there. I'm going to add just a few seasonings here. A little bit of fresh ground black pepper, a good half a tablespoon, maybe a touch more, of oregano, about the same amount, maybe a little more than half a tablespoon, of ground cumin. Stir that in and give it just 30 seconds or so to open up those flavors. Let the essential oils activate under the heat. And then I've got 2 cans of black beans. I'm going to add those, juice and all. And again, I'm using the low sodium black beans. And I'm going to keep 1 can in reserve because all of this is eventually going to get blended into a nice creamy soup. But I still want some bean texture in the black bean soup, and that's going to be our last can. And then my final add to the soup is going to be a good quart. This is what, 32 ounces? I don't know if that's more than a quart or not. I'm going to add the whole thing, though, to the black bean soup. You want it, obviously, pretty soupy, probably a little bit thinner than a normal soup texture, because eventually, like I said, we're going to puree this. And the beans are going to thicken up the soup quite a bit. But you can always add some more chicken stock or even water if it ends up being too thick for you. So I'm going to go ahead and cover this, bring it to a simmer, cover it, let it gently simmer for about 30 minutes or so. It can't go too long. You could do it for hours. You can go take a walk or whatever. And then once all those vegetables are nice and smooth and fully cooked, we're going to come back and puree the whole thing. All right, so I've let the soup go for about an hour, so all those vegetables are nice and soft. The beans are in there; they're soft as well. We're gonna go ahead and take the stick blender and give it a nice nice blend. Get everything nice and smooth. You could do this in a regular blender as well. Just do it in small batches. Make sure you don't splatter because it can be a little bit tricky. And then once we get this smooth, we're gonna come back, finish it off. All right, so mine foamed up a little bit. Not a big deal. You can always just use a spoon, remove the foam if you're serving it right away, or give it a few minutes. That will subside. You're looking for a thickness. Well, a thickness that you like, obviously. This one looks about right. I'm going to go ahead and give it just a quick taste and discover this. It's really nice. Could use a little bit of salt and pepper, I think. So I'm going to go ahead and add that. And then once I find my pepper. And then my final add, so I've got that one more can of black beans. I'm just going to add those in there as well to give it a little bit of, kind of fresh black bean texture to it. So once I added the black beans, I had to run over and grab my corn. I've got a little bit of corn here. I'm going to add just fresh cut corn as well, something I like to do in summer when I make this. If you don't have fresh corn, I don't know that I would bother using frozen or canned. I might just leave it out altogether. Just stir that in there. The corn, is only going to take about 5 minutes to kind of cook through and soften just a tiny bit, and we are good to go. This is good, for days. Hold on, but you can serve it and eat it right away, which is what I'm going to do. All right, so we've got our soup done. The beans, fresh beans, and the corn have sat in there for just a little bit. You can see they're nice and chunky on there to serve it up. Go ahead and wipe the plate, make sure we're nice and clean there. I've got a little bit of sour cream. I just cut into a sandwich bag, cut a tiny little hole in the corner. That's a cool way to do a little design, whatever you want. Woo, nice and messy. How about that? Maybe a little bit of cilantro. Squeeze of lime is nice, I think, on the black bean soup as well. And there we go. Bacon and black bean soup. I will see you next time on No Recipe Required. Alright, so this black bean, bacon and black bean soup was absolutely spectacular. I loved making it, I loved eating it. The whole family loved it. If you want to use the same techniques, again, I mentioned earlier, you can do so with all kinds of soups. Here's a link to a potato and leek soup. Basically the same thing, same steps, different ingredients, about the same time and effort. And, if you're looking for something to go with this black bean soup, try my tacos barbacoa. Absolutely spectacular recipe, one of my favorite tacos of all times, and easy for you to do at home. I'll see you next time on No Recipe Required.